Every minute spent organizing is an hour earned. I know organization isn't so sexy, but I'm gonna tell you today why it is so sexy. Actually, today I'm gonna show you how organization before you ever get into your edit will help you never get stuck in your edit. This is before you even open up your editing software. With a little bit of sexy organization up front, you'll avoid hours of pain afterwards. Me and my team used these techniques. We're able to output many documentaries in 1 year and not get overwhelmed or inundated, stuck in any of them. We've completed upwards of, I think, around 6 documentaries this year, and we're about to release another one with Mile by Mile. Documentaries are particularly a nasty beast when it comes to editing. They're very easy to get caught up in all of the footage and not know where the beginning, the middle, or the end is. You hit export on the film and you watch it back and just feel like something was missing, it wasn't right. Today, let's solve that. Here are some practical tips for you before you ever get into your editing software. I first want to establish what editing is. This tip is going to help you sift through all the hours of footage that you've probably captured. And then this is my definition. Simply put, editing is arranging a selection of moments or thoughts in the form of footage and content towards a common goal, question, or resolution. Essentially, film editing is the rise of tension towards a deliberate ending. That word, ending, is the most important thing. The first thing you do before you ever open up your editing software, before you ingest any footage, is define your ending. How are you supposed to edit a film? How is it supposed to start and land somewhere if you don't know where you're going? You see, your whole film should be leading towards the ending. So before you care about a cool sequence at the beginning, before you determine the color palettes and everything, where does your film finish? Where are you leading us to? Is it going to feel like a payoff in your film? If you haven't determined the editing, don't open your editing software because you're just setting yourself up to get lost because you don't know where you're going. And you might be thinking, Mark, what do you mean? How do you define this? Well, back before COVID, we used to use sticky notes. We were all here at this office. We would put the sticky notes up for the film, each film, and define the ending. But now with COVID, we're kind of spread around the world. We've been using Milanote more. Here is the film Battleground. Now, I grabbed the screen grabs as we would shoot this footage for each scene and placing it in a Milanote project so that I could keep track of the film before I got all confused in the Adobe Premiere timeline and I couldn't see a wide view. This is kind of just a quick tip in life is when you're getting overwhelmed by things, take a step back and look at the full picture. It's easy to get lost in the details. And that's why I love using Milanote is I can quickly look at my film here and figure, do I have enough scenes? Do I have the right scenes? And where is this leading? There was this poem that Kwesi brought to me halfway through filming where we weren't sure where to place it in the film. And I realized that it could be a great way to summarize the film, so we place it at the end. But we didn't want it just to feel like a random ending. When I saw it there at the end, it felt a bit disconnected to the rest of the film. And that's when we decided to add a scene at the beginning of Kwesi actually writing the poem so that it was bookended. This opening scene we see where Kwesi was writing is leading towards the ending. So with Milanote, what I would do is, if you imagine I had my editing software open here, I would just find the scenes, I would just take a quick screen grab of the scene out of the QuickTime and I just drag it into the project here. And then I can quickly add a caption to this. So this was opening scene. And now I know the scene and I can begin moving this around the film. I already placed it at the beginning of the film before I get to the editing software, or if I'm passing this along to an editor, they'll know exactly where I want that scene in the film. So I would take all these screen grabs and I'd place them here and put a little arrow so I knew the progression of the film. And this is what I would do every day. Before I go into the editing software, I would open up this project and look at the next scene that I wanted to edit. Before I got to editing, I knew in general where the film was going, or at least what I was trying to accomplish, so that I didn't just get into random scenes and start getting overwhelmed with the hours and hours of footage that I shot. Now that you have the ending, you want to establish a good beginning. And the 3 things you're trying to establish in the first 5% of your film is who, what, and vibe. That's what I'm trying to establish. First off, you want to show that you're an artist, that this film is good, so you want to set a vibe. Next, you want to show who the film is about. Give us a quick origin story, and then you want to show us what your character is journeying towards, what question your film is answering if it doesn't have a character, if it's about a topic. And as I mentioned, you want to show some vibes. And go watch my latest video, I'll put the link on right now. Talk all about how to shoot good footage so that you can hit a very nice vibes. Because for me as a filmmaker, I want my films to both look good and tell a good story. So then how do you determine this up front? Well, really quickly, I just create 3 columns to determine what this footage is. So for Mile by Mile, the short documentary we just released about Lawrence Hacking and his 10,000 mile race for the Dakar rally, I went in and I created a beginning section here in Milanote, which I sent to my editor, Lewis, because Lewis is cutting this and he's not in the office here, and I wanted him to have some direction and to understand where we're taking this film. So, like I said, vibe, what, and who. So I immediately took some screen grabs as I imported the film in, so Lewis kind of knew the vibe I was going for. This is Place Beyond the Pines sort of vibes. And what's great too is I've just added some music here. I downloaded this from MusicBed, and you can literally physically drag in the file or put a link to the playlist. So I was showing Lewis here that moody, dark, it's the Mark Bone vibe. A lot of other filmmakers do it. But I grabbed these songs off MusicBed because I want Lewis, I don't want him to send me a project that's not aligned with my vision. I'm trying to help him understand, without trying to be over prescriptive right off the top, where we're taking this film. So I've established all these photos here that show him the mood. Then I just gave him just quick notes of who Lawrence was. And I got on the phone with Lewis and explained a bit that we want to show that he was a Dakar racer, who he was in the past, and give us that tone and mood of that he did this race in 2001. He was 47 years old when he did it. It was crazy. And then I want Lewis to know what we are journeying towards. And so this is where I would leave just like a comment here. You can see comments are just really easy. I just drag this down here. And I would tell Lewis that let's establish that. And then down here, I'll leave another note to him to say, so quickly Lewis knows that I want some vibey music, some cool shots. We want to establish who Lawrence is so that people know what film they're watching, and then we want to show the journey. Again, if your character doesn't have a want in your film, they're not a character. So we want to show that not only did Lawrence want to finish that race, but later on in the film, we're going to talk about his future aspirations. Oh, and then you can see there's this other scene here, which this is his origin story, as we always call it. And this is that he first discovered he wanted to go on motorbikes when he put a baseball card or a hockey card, because we're in Canada. He put that in the spokes, so I put that picture right there for Lewis, so he knew exactly how to start this film. So right here I've established for Lewis right away exactly what I want the film to look like in the beginning, but I've given Lewis some creative liberty so he can edit it together in the way he best sees fit, but I'm reminding him of the mood I want, who we're talking about, and what this film is about, what this film is journeying towards, where it's going to go. It used to be so easy in our office. We would all be here together. We would all be working off the same notepad or putting stickies on the wall, but now when I'm working on projects like this film I'm doing about the autism spectrum disorder, my editor is down in LA, so we can't just share sticky notes in the same office. So her and I have actually created this entire edit flow, and I'll show you this now. I've actually had to delete a lot of the descriptions. This film isn't released yet, so I can't give away where the film is going. So normally all of these cards here you're seeing on screen, if I zoom out here, would all have thorough descriptions of how the film is progressing. I'll give you like a little sneak peek here to the thematic flow. This right here is me writing all of the themes in the film and how they ratchet up the tension towards the final ending. And I've had to kind of redact some of this, but this to me right here, what you're seeing on screen is our film. Those are the themes. And I've established that with our editor so she knows what we're trying to establish in each scene so that it's not just stuff happening on screen. So it's actually the theme of the film that we're expressing. Again, we always talk about the theme is the layer underneath what's happening on screen. And if you don't determine a theme for your film, which is the question your film is trying to answer, you're gonna have a shallow film and it's not gonna be as interesting or as timeless as you would hope. So going back here though to this edit workflow, we again took screen grabs of each scene. So we'd add a title, and the way you just do this is you drag a column down here, and then if I copy over this picture, I'm gonna drag it right here, and then I give this a title. This is Ron on Piano. So as I mentioned, normally all of these would all have descriptions for what the scene is. But we did this, me and my editor, we had over 70 hours of footage when we were halfway through the film. We're doing a film about 4 different people who are part of a band who are on the autism spectrum disorder. There was a lot to work through and it was kind of getting overwhelming for us. So we went into Milanote, we took screen grabs of every scene because every day I would go film with each character. I tried to shoot 3 scenes. So I just went back to my schedule and I knew, okay, in this day I filmed an intro for the guy Jackson, or in this day we filmed in the basement with the guy Spencer. Take a screen grab and we'd put this as a new scene. And then we began working these scenes together, and kind of the way we knew where these scenes should go is we knew the ending. We knew where the film was progressing. So we know that each scene is kind of ratcheting up the tension or giving us some more information about the character, making each person more interesting. So simply put, when you go into your Milanote or whatever software you're using or whatever sticky notes you're putting on the wall, ask yourself, does this scene provide new information about the character, and does it increase the tension or get us closer to the ending? If you can do one of those three things, then it's valuable to put that scene in that part of the sequence. If your scene is not helping us learn more about the person, or it's not that exciting, you don't want to put that late in the film because it's just going to be a boring scene. You want it to help speed up and move towards that ending. So for Eva and I, the editor, we put all these scenes in here, and as you can see back on this homepage, we've had 3 different versions of this. We keep changing and progressing it, and I save old versions in case the new version of our edit is terrible. And what I love this is before we've even gone into Adobe Premiere, before we've done any editing, we have an idea of what our film is going to be like. Now it always ends up changing, but what's kind of cool is you're looking at a film finished before we ever went into it. And that helps. That helps when you have dozens, sometimes hundreds of hours. And this is so sad to me when I see people trying to shoot their own documentaries and they get lost in the footage. They never finish the project. And I think that's because people get so deep into their timelines and their editing and their questions and all the quotes that they don't get to see the bird's eye view of their project. And so for me, when I'm getting overwhelmed in my edit, I come back to my Milanote projects or I come back to my sticky notes and I look simply, where are we in the film? Does this scene help here? Or why am I not enjoying this moment in the film? Well, it's not actually moving us towards the ending. I can actually go think about where the film is progressing. What was really fun is we actually, me, the editor and the writer, all got onto Milanote at the same time, and we all were moving these around, working on the same project simultaneously, which was really fun. It was like we were all editing together in the same timeline without us all being on Adobe Premiere. But then we handed it over to Eva, and she takes the principles from this and injects it into the film. So just to summarize that, organizing up front, just even a couple minutes of organization will save you hours down the line in your film. Establish what your ending is first, then establish your beginning so that it can lead towards that ending. If you try to do it the other way around, you're probably gonna have a really underwhelming ending. And when you establish that beginning, establish the vibe, the tone, the aesthetic of your film, establish who we are talking about, who your character is, just give us a little hint to who they are, their background, their origin story, and then tell us what the film is journeying towards. What is the tension? What is it that your character wants? And from there, that's when you get to start organizing all of your scenes and start progressing them towards that, looking that there is a rise in tension in your film or a rise in the information, making sure that every new scene is adding to the film and not just taking up time and space. And that's what we've had to do in some cases. As you can see, even from Edit Flow 2 to Edit Flow 3 here, there was 4 scenes deleted, and it's probably gonna continue to go down because we're only about halfway through the edit. It's probably gonna get sharper and shorter, which is what you want in your film. And by the way, I put a link down below to Milanote. It's something that we're using on all of our projects now. We even did this dark office vibes. We're redesigning our edit suite. So Landon, who's part of our team, he created this whole thing. We're reshaping our edit suite, and so he sent me this so that I knew what he had in his mind. I'm a big fan of keeping things simple and keeping things from a high level view, and I've been finding Milanote has really been helping our projects like that, and it's how we've been able to kind of manage 6 documentaries all at the same time. We're working on 2 feature lengths. We have Clear Sky still going on and a couple other ideas for the new year, but we don't want to get overwhelmed. As I always say, it's okay to be stressed. It's not okay to be confused. We've been able to do that by keeping a high level view of the project and not getting stuck in the weeds.